everybody, welcome back. We are here to start talking about Ultimate Top 10 with the LumiRank. My name is Skip. With me, I have Easy Freezy and Last. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty well, I'm pretty excited to be here once again to do this top 10 reveal. It's always a treat doing it with the boys over here. Doing it, I think this multiple times now for both of you guys. This is awesome.
Yeah,
It'll be a fun time.
My second time, I think you're like third or fourth.
I've done, I think, every LumiRank reveal at
Supernova ones. Yeah, and I did the one at Luminosity Makes Big Moves just a couple months ago, actually. So I got to do the top of the year. Now I get to do the middle of the year. I think that means that I have to do the end of the year, right?
As long as we have a place to do it, yeah. Why not?
We'll do it somewhere at some point.
In Skip's basement.
Hey, you know what? Skip's dog is very nice.
My dog is good.
But I think that's probably enough annoying the Twitch chat, because they're here for one reason, and one reason only, and that is, of course, to find out who the 10 best players of the first half of 2025 are in Smash Bros. Ultimate. And so I think without further ado, it's time to kick it off with our number 10. That's right. He is the one, the only pilot of many characters, Mr. Consistent. It's Shuton!
Yeah, so Shuton has been top 10, I think, in this game for the entirety of that we came back since post-pandemic. And he won, finally, his first Super Major this year in 5 years, with his last one being EVO Japan. So that shows already how intensely competitive this season is, that was the mark that he had to hit just to hit number 10.
Yeah, I think the thing that people forget a lot about when talking about Shuton is he was the inaugural top 10 Japanese player in Smash Ultimate. People always talk about Zachary because Zachary was so dominant at the time, but Zachary debuted at number 12 on the 2019 ranking, whereas Shuton was in that top 10, and like you said, Easy Freezy, he only left it one single time during 2022 when everything was kind of just coming back. Shuton didn't quite make it to as many tournaments as he needed to, I think, and so he just barely missed out on it. But ever since then, look at these results: second, first, fourth, second, third. These are just par for the course for Shuton, honestly.
I mean, it's kind of like what you mentioned, though. Like, the reason why he was one of the people that was up in that top 10 is he was basically one of the original Leo Slayers at, like, the peak of Leo Mania. So, like, let's be real here. I mean, but, yeah, it's Mr. Consistency through and through. A lot of great characters and just a fantastic player all around. So
yeah, he kind of is, I feel like, always been the dark horse of Ultimate, where
sneaks in.
He's just not just sneaks in, but like he's always consistent. He's not always expected to win the bracket, but it's not a surprise if he does. He reminds me a lot of like Smash 4 to Buzz, honestly. And that sequence.
Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying.
He's really difficult to beat. You're not ever surprised when, like, oh, Shuton beat X or Shuton beat Y. Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's one of the players who can beat anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, number 10 is a really good spot for him. Obviously, he could be higher. He might be higher on the full year ranking, too, depending on how the second half of this year goes. He's gotten himself a really strong foundation, and I think he can be happy with that.
Absolutely. And as said, this season is ultra competitive. The
season was ridiculous.
How close it was between him, Raru, and Syrup to make 10 was just, it was down to such a minuscule amount of points on the algorithm. It's unfortunate that there can only be one of them on the top 10, because they all really have, in any other season, they're all top 10 contenders, but unfortunately this season's just ridiculous.
And I think before we move on to number 9, I think that what we mentioned at the top of this, that Shuton is Mr. Consistent, and he doesn't really lose to people who are below him. He's very much like Smash 4 to Buzz, like you said, where the only people he ever really loses to are the ones who are like number 6 in the world, number 5 in the world, and so on. And so the lack of poor losses, the lack of losses outside the top 50, really, I think he only had like 1, 2, something like that.
Something like that.
It was a low number, and that's what matters, and that's why Shuton ended up beating out both Syrup and Raru for that number 10 spot. But just as Shuton beat out those two, somebody is above him at number 9. So without further ado, let's roll the tape. Coming in at number 9 in the world, making their return to the top 10, it is, of course, Anin!
Man, it has been a hot minute since we've seen Anin in the top 10. First of all, Black Knife, banger choice of a song. If you don't know, all the players chose their songs. I respect it a lot. What can we even start with? First of all, they stand as one of the only players from the States to win a major in Japan now. They're like the only one, I'm pretty sure, at least in Smash Ultimate, to do so. Which is insane, and they've been stacking up win over win.
Yeah, I think Leo had done one pre-quarantine, winning a Super Major in Japan. I don't remember exactly which one, but the list is very short, and it now includes Onin, and Onin, like you said, making their return to the top 10 after that like back-to-back Super Smash Con into Gommel win in 2022, where they just destroyed everybody everywhere. I think they debuted at number 6 in the world, then kind of fell out of the top 10. You know, we're in the like the 20 to 30 area for a little bit. They're back with a vengeance. What else can you say?
Also a great Pokemon choice.
Totodile.
That's one of my favorite things. Totodile's a great choice. I think he's one of the best starters. So big ups to Onin. But Onin's a great player, great person too. If you ever get a chance to talk to them, I love talking to them whenever I can. Bit of a goofy person, but I love them for that. So.
And I did want to point out as well on the player card at the end there, I think they had a perfectly even record versus the top 20, right? That was like 18 and 18 versus the top 20.
That's,
so that's
18 and 18, that's a lot of sets.
A lot of
that
sets.
is a lot of sets.
That's somebody who's making it far in every bracket.
Yes.
And not getting easy paths either. Because we've seen a couple of people who get really deep into these brackets, but they don't, Spargo's losers run at Gommel, for example, is like the gold standard of every single person that you fought was like a top 150 contender. Sometimes people don't run into that, but Onin is just always in the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something I want to point out about them in particular is that, like, we have, like, Akul who has their Aegis, we have Syrup with their Nest, we have Carmela with Pyra and Shulk, and Crepe with Rob. They're the only real true solo Steve. There's no one else really doing so.
What about
and
Robin?
But like,
Robin is sick. Robin is sick.
Even behind the scenes, they're kind of like the architect of the Steve meta. And they seem to flip around a lot of matchups. Back, like, I think it was at Coinbox RL, there was this doomer about Sonic being this impossible matchup, and then they 3-0 Sonics.
Yeah.
So I feel like they also do so much behind the scenes to grow the character for everyone else.
Well, I mean, I think you got a really good point about that, too, because I feel like when Steve really started coming to fruition, one of the first big wins, I think that really cemented Steve, was Onin at Super Smash Con back a few years ago. 2022. And that's kind of like, I'm not saying it was the first one, but I feel like that was like the, hey, we're in the Steve era right now.
And that was also, that was when everybody was talking about, like, oh, just wait until these, like, upstart Steves run into Leo, or wait until these upstart Steves run into Meister, or whoever else was in the top 10 at the time. Everyone was like, well, Onin keeps dodging them. And then Onin went on to win Super Smash Con over literally everyone and kind of silenced everybody, especially going into Gommel the very next week.
Yep.
So just great stuff to them. It's really good to see the grind pay off, them back in the top 10. But, we've got another paragon of the top 10 landscape, I think, especially in post-quarantine Ultimate, coming up next at number 8. That's right, everyone. It is a blue character, and it's going to, of course, be the Blue Blur himself, Sonix, hailing from the Dominican Republic, the first ever Dominican, not just to top 8 a Super Major, but to become top 10 in the world, putting that flag on his back, representing the home front, and doing it very, very well. What else can you say about Sonix that hasn't already been said?
Yeah, Sonix, it was interesting. At the start of the season, it was a little slower because due to missing LMBM and then having definitely what he would consider underperformance at Genesis. But that did not slow him down one bit. He only has 3 losses outside of the top 20 and none in the top 50, so he's an absolute wall that players just struggle to get over to begin with. What else? Yeah, what else can really be said?
I mean, I think it's only a matter of time, really, until I think, and I want to see it too, where Sonix finally gets that top rung. He's gonna be the #1 ranked player. I personally, he's like my second favorite player to watch, like, of all time, at least in Ultimate. But like the amount of skill that he gets. I know people like to make a lot of jokes. They like to think that Sonic doesn't take any skill. He is such a smart player, and the amount of work that he puts in to his gameplay is astronomical. He's literally like, hey, I will play anyone on Wi-Fi. Do you know how to play this character? Yeah. Hey, do you have a pulse? Do you know how to press this button? I will play Wi-Fi with you. No one grinds harder than Sonix.
Yeah, but I do think we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, and that is, of course, the always the bridesmaid, never the bride curse. Sonix Mr. Second Place. Will he break that sometime soon? I really hope so, because I would love to see Sonics finally get that big dub again, especially, you know, if he could do it over Spargo, if he could do it over that big Demon. We saw the Demon on the graphic there, 0-3 in the head-to-head versus Spargo in the current season. It's just the character swaps are just his demise. And even after, I know we're supposed to keep this within the first half of 2025 up until Gommel, but literally right after Gommel, they went to the same tournament and Spargo double eliminated him with Plant.
Yeah.
That is unfortunate. And it's just, that is it. That's like, compared to any other player, that is his biggest hill to get over. And once he does, I do think that #1 spot is so in reach once he does.
Oh, yeah.
And you also even said it as well, the same thing that we were talking about with Shuton. Sonics, as you said, 3 losses outside the top 20. Who can beat Sonics other than like the 5-person long list of like Shuton maybe on a good day, like at Riptide, or like Spargo on most days, unfortunately for Sonic. Like it's a very short list, and it is a list that is unfortunately continuously preventing him from getting that first place at the premier events, but the fact that the list is that small means he's right on the threshold.
Absolutely. All right, well, who we got next, though?
It is time to reveal the #7 player, and it is a player who went on one last dance in Smash Bros. Ultimate. So let's find out, if you haven't figured it out already, the #7 player in the world. I would like to hear everybody join me in this one, because as he announced his retirement after Japan, give it up for
Hell yeah, I love hearing the crowd do that.
Crowd favorite. Dude, if I heard that, I'd be coming out of retirement every time, man.
I think it'll take a little bit more
Yeah.
than just a loving crowd to get Tweak out of retirement, because he's had that basically his entire career, right? But just what else can you say about a living legend?
Absolutely. Why don't we do a little snapshot first of his season before we talk a little more about the overall career. First of all, his head-to-heads this season are immaculate. Despite the major win kind of slipping from him, he's not just positive on the top 20, he's not just positive on the top 10, he is positive on the top 5 in wins to losses this season.
How often do you know if there has ever been anybody else like outside of the top 5 who's positive on the entire top 5? Like the fact that Tweak is I want to say only 7th. Even look at the list of wins of tournaments there. He's got those 3 big B tier wins. He's 2-0 on Doramigi. 0-2 versus Onin is probably one of the more harmful things there, but like if that's your worst record, 2 losses versus #9.
Absolutely.
Like, what are you losing out on at that point? And we mentioned that like he's the only player to be in top 10.
We're about to, right?
Oh, okay. Well,
that's the thing for sure, Skiff, is, and that's the crazy thing is now with Light getting ranked 16th on this iteration of the LumiRank, Tweak is the only player in Smash Ultimate who has never left the top 10.
And you know what the crazy thing is that, I mean, he could come back right now and probably be able to make top 10 for the next one. But for the caveat for you to not make top 10 is that you retired.
You guys couldn't take me out. Only I could take me out.
He is a certified GOAT.
And to like zoom out even a little further, he's been in this pinnacle top like point of Smash since early, like the end of 2017, 2018. He's been top 10 for a very long time, for like 8 years. He's been at that point. So yeah, I understand going out on your own note instead of seeing your results slowly slip and you're like, hey, I'm done. That's just respect.
And also, again, the 4th at Kagaribi, which was like a death sentence for so many people. Like when that traveled over, like a lot of them had rough brackets, but one person who stayed consistent and in that top 8 was Tweak. So,
and just absolutely refuses to let anybody else take him down. He had a phenomenal season. He had a phenomenal career, and I know that while we might miss him for the duration of Ultimate, he did say that when that next Smash game comes out, he'll give it a try again, and I think that he knows and that everybody knows that the community will be waiting.
Oh, yeah.
With bated breath and open arms for the return of one of our biggest heroes, especially in NA as well. Like having that hero alongside like the U.S. representation with like him and Light, and then like Leo and Spargo down in Mexico.
Yep.
It's just always so awesome to see. But I bring up NA, and that's because we've got our next player, the #6, just so happens to be, as we roll the tape, a close compatriot of our previous pundit, and that is, of course, the heel, the villain, the bad boy. It's Zamba!
Oh, man. So Zamba, out of anyone in the top 50, has the highest amount of attendance at ranked events this season, entering, I believe, a total of 28 tournaments. And out of all those tournaments, he has a 17th at Kagaribi and single-digit placements at every other single event.
I actually remember I was sitting last weekend at breakfast with a couple of people who we were discussing the upcoming top 10 of Ultimate. And we were like, let me check Zamba's results real quick. And I was scrolling through it and I was like, oh, first to the B tier, first to the B tier, first to the C tier, first to the B tier. And at every single one of those B tiers, it's not like he's just walking over like local, like maybe 149th people.
Yeah.
He was beating Syrup, he was beating Jackal, he was sometimes even beating Tweak. And so the fact that Zamba is up here, I think, might be a shock to some who maybe only watched Kagaribi or only watched Genesis. But third at Genesis, I don't know what Genesis you were watching if you thought that Zamba was going to be outside this top 10. And he has
no demons!
No demon!
No demon!
I didn't even see that until
He's
just now.
demonless!
Nobody.
That's the thing, and I think that's the perfect way to describe him too, because you could show him all the stats that show like, hey, maybe you're not number one this season. He'll still look you in the eyes and be like, I am number one. I don't care what the stats say. I'm gonna win this tournament. I'm gonna win this tournament. And he'll tell you with confidence every time, and he means it.
You know what
that's
he says?
what you need to be a great competitor.
Yeah, but I'm still better. that's the line every single time. Like he'll lose a set.
Yep.
I'm still better than him.
Yep. That's Zamba, man. That's just Zamba.
I think there is a deep irony that the 1 year he doesn't win a major is the year he makes highest. Top 10.
Yeah, he won Genesis last year and got, what, 13th?
Like something like that. But I think it also shows that he's filled a hole that he's struggled with a lot, is that it's not just one insane peak anymore. He's consistent.
Yep.
He's a consistent force. He is here to stay. You have to deal with his Rob, and if you can't, you're screwed.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing that people were talking about a while ago, was like you have to deal with any Rob. Now it's you have to deal with Zamba's Rob if you want to be in the top echelon of the game. But I think our next player, as we get into it, is a paragon of the top echelon of the game. So let's roll that footage and find out who our number 5 player is for the first half of 2025. And guys, it is going to be the one and only Spargo at 5th place. Shocking to a lot of people. I can hear it out in the crowd.
So, as a reminder, S-Factor and Blink Ring
He's
Spawn
getting out in front of it.
aren't part of this season yet. But we'll get into his prospects for the future. Let's talk about his current season. First of all, he has a very dominant record over the entire top 10.
Especially against the Steves. Let's
yes,
put that out there.
But it's an 11-3. He is very strong against them. But on the other side, why he might be so low is that his record against outside of that is a lot more than taking a lot more losses than expected. He has 9 losses outside of the top 50 this season.
Yeah, which is kind of unheard of for a player ranked this high. So I think that also kind of just tells you how strong Spargo's peaks are this season. And you mentioned it. We've got to address it. Spargo finished the season with that big win over Sonics at Gommel, and then won, what, 3 more large tier tournaments right after that, too, that didn't quite count for this record. But you see that the only person who's really put that chip on him is that 0-2 loss versus T. He's got another couple Sonics wins, another couple Leo wins at like Blink Respawn and Smash Factor right after, too. And so I think that this 5th place, it's not really indicative of how the full year is going to go, because Spargo is already, I think, my favorite for number 1 on the full year, especially if he keeps this going.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, we all know what he's capable of. Again, sometimes people have off seasons. But if anything, I think this is just fuel for the fire for him to go get that number 1 spot again. Because we all remember seeing the EE video of him popping off, finally knowing that he's number 1. And I think he's going to want to get that feeling again. So yeah, I'm not worried about him.
I think one thing that he definitely needs to figure out is Kazuya is definitely a bane in his side. We'll see if the plant is what comes out to play for it. I'm very curious to see how he does next time he faces off with Kazuya.
Plant Kazuya's bad.
Okay, well, I don't know what the hell he does.
Dude, do you know how much Patui does? And now put a Kazuya reflector on that.
Oh, that's
like,
awful. I didn't think about that.
Plant's just
awful.
gone. He's just gone. Now, the situation to set that up is another story, but still, that's not good.
Yeah, and I don't think that's we shouldn't really get too deep into matchup-specific stuff, but I don't think that Spargo's plant is in existence as a counter to any one specific matchup either. I don't think
he just loves the character.
He's not playing Plant so that he can beat Sonic. He's playing Plant because Plant's fun and he wants to have fun playing the game.
But I think that's also another testament to how his caliber of a player is
so
to take
good.
a character that bad and win a major with it. That's incredible.
And hey, if he doesn't end up #1 the full year, he's already said he's accomplished everything he wanted to do with ult. He got the triple count this season. He finally won his major in Europe. He won it with Plant too, so he's already accomplished everything he wanted. If he gets another one title if he wanted to, sure, why not?
Just add another Supernova to the pocket, another Riptide to the pocket. Just stack them up. Trophy cabinet's not heavy enough quite yet. But I think we got to move on to our next player, and that is, of course, as we get into these top 4, all players who have some of the heaviest trophy cabinets in the biz. And to kick off this top 4, let's find out who number 4 is. Piloting that teal Mr. Game & Watch, number 4 in the world is, of course, Mia!
So Mia, I failed to neglect this on the mention this on the last one, is tied with the most major wins this season with Spargo.
That's that trophy cab.
Also completing his triple crown, getting his first major win in Europe at Uzbekistan Gaming Festival. So Mia stands at an interesting point. He has the most major wins. He's winning a lot, but he also took a interesting variety of losses this season, notably getting 33rd at level up, losing to Mars and Omega. He lost into Japan to Gachipi and Sasusoro, and has a very unexpected demon from across the seas with Gluttony, who's been having his number recently.
This song choice just screams Mia for me.
Yeah.
I was thinking about whether or not to say anything on it.
No, dude, it is so perfect.
This is so Mr. Game & Watch player. More
yeah,
than
but
else.
my thing about Mia is I've always been a fan of him, but when I really became a fan of him was when at Rise and Grind 2. I watched him absolutely toy people in the crew battle, and it was unreal watching how much better of a player he is than the people he was playing. And he actually wants to face Monty. That's actually pretty cool. But
he wants to get that Game & Watch to do it because I think he's already fought Meister in it, and so he's trying to make sure that he claims that teal Game & Watch.
Yeah, he's got the mentality for that, and that's one of the things I love about him too. So, but yeah, he's a strong player. He showcases it every tournament he's at. I mean, he's just a great player.
You know what I'm going to point out, though? You know who he didn't put on his player who I want to fight the most? He's dodging Leo.
Well, he doesn't have to worry about that here because Leo dodged the tournament. So.
Eventually, we're going to get that MK Leo versus Mia set at a super major tournament. It'll happen one day, I hope and pray. But yeah, like you were saying, Mia, a tale of highs and lows. He's got all those major wins. He's got all those regional wins. And he's, I think, in the same category of player that I'd put Zomba as well, where he is just the super grinder. He's at every single tournament, week in, week out, looking for those dubs.
And we talked about Spargo being on a hot streak. Mia currently is also on a hot streak. He won Delta. He won the Symphonic Game Festival. He's also someone who could take home the bracket. He's been playing pretty damn hot.
Yeah, he's just got to avoid another Level Up Expo situation. But I think brackets like those, and we'll obviously talk about it with Akola coming up later as well, both of them getting that 33rd at Level Up Expo. That didn't even phase them, I feel like. Because they took that and then went straight to Kagaribi and, did what they did at Kagaribi. But I think it's time to announce our number 3 player. And the interesting thing about this player is as the footage rolls. Sorry, Devin. It is the player who was not at Kagaribi, but instead our Genesis champion, it's Hurt.
Man, talk about being an absolute dominant force for a good portion of the scene. Being the first Japanese player to win Genesis in a title not called Smash 64. And Genesis is notoriously a tournament that the Japanese players have just not done well at. So to do so, it's just incredible.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's definitely becoming everybody's favorite player quickly and rapidly. And obviously, we could discuss the what-ifs if, we didn't have a certain situation arise earlier. But still, number 3 with essentially taking a 3-month break. Incredible player. And the crowd loves him. You can hear the crowd, like, they cheer him.
And it's not just a 3-month break. It's a 3-month break missing 2 out of 3 of the largest tournaments of the season, and he's still number 3.
Yep.
I remember during this Genesis Top 8, you see the highlights from his match versus Akola in the Grand Finals. Hurt looked unstoppable. I saw so many top players in so many different ways go, what do I do? If I come up against Hurt, I don't have any ideas. There's nothing that can be done. He's just so good, and you see that with the lineup of not just his wins, 4-0 versus Akola, 3-3 versus Shion is a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to touch upon that. He's found an interesting rival back in Japan with Shion. Don't know how exactly that happened, but at regionals, Shion has been kind of giving him some not great placements. I think he eliminated him at the last Sumabato of the season, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it like 17th, I think?
Like 33rd or something. Yeah, something like that. But even though he was on a hiatus, even though he lost momentum, I think you could see some of that momentum coming back. He beat Light for the first time, who's been a thorn on his side for a while. Still top 8ing pretty consistently. I would not be surprised if we see him climb back up to that first place, second place, like momentum he was doing.
Well, to kind of go off that too, I mean, sometimes the greatest players just have a player that, for some reason, just has their number. Like, we can look at one of the most infamous examples with just Goblin over Tweak. Like, that was...
Or Shuton Leo even.
Yeah, those are just storylines that we've had for a while. So, like, it's not too surprising, but, like, at some point, they're going to figure it out, and they're going to start doing some crazy stuff. So, yeah, people I haven't hurt.
I also just love how much, like, Hurt loves the game, too. He's just always, like, looking for somebody to grind with, or he's playing randubs, or he's just always playing Smash in some capacity, and it's just so cool to see, like, him in motion. He is one of the coolest players to watch. If you ask any top player, like, some of their favorites to watch, Hurt's going to be in that list just because he's so creative, so cool, so fun. But, guys, I know that this is the reason why everybody, both out in that crowd and watching on Twitch, is here. Because they want to find out who the number 2 player is, so that they then know who the number 1 player is. And so...
Before we go in. This is close. This was a very close season between both these players. And it's always seems to end up being a battle of very strong consistency versus good consistency with a very strong peak.
And before we get into this, and I'm sure you'll elucidate on it a little bit more, do you think that in most of our number 1 versus number 2 races, as like our ranking representative, do you think that these races are more often decided by somebody's worst result compared to their best result?
That is always a tough question. I think some cases, yes. I think a big example of that ended up being Aqua versus Spargo back in early 2023. But I think last season was a case of no. I think it was because Spargo ended up, well, it actually came down to don't park in the grass.
He got that win at Park versus Mia.
So it kind of comes down to a case-by-case scenario of who actually, and like, you know what I mean.
All right, well, shut up, nerd. Yeah, it's time to move on.
Roll the tape, Devin. Let's find out who our number 2 player for the first half of 2025 is going to be. And that player is, everybody get ready, it's the one, the only, Akola!
Man, what a dominant beast Akola has been since his debut on the scene. Wins the biggest Smash Ultimate tournament of all time that we're ever going to see.
Yep.
Insane consistency all about, but we've already alluded to a few times. That 33rd at Level Up Expo, unfortunately, when you have such lower attendance than normally, and we'll get into why, it's going to affect you.
That combo specifically, I've seen that so many times from when it first happened. Just Akola, love him or hate him, love Steve or hate Steve, there is a point where you have to acknowledge just the level of skill, the level of practice, of grind, of dedication that this guy has put into not just Steve, but Smash as a whole. And you see it right there, the clip, the pop-off, of the biggest tournament in Smash Ultimate history. He's got that in his trophy cabinet.
Hey, Skinny, you better watch out. He wants to fight Skinny the Pooh real bad, man. That's a crazy call out too, but a good one. That makes sense. But
he has no
too.
rivals, by the way.
No rivals, but he has a demon.
Yes, I want to touch upon this.
But real quick before we get there, though, the one thing I do want to point out about Aqua, and like you mentioned, love him or hate him, I think it's really hard to point out a player that has a better combined like conditioning and adaptation as a player in Smash Ultimate right now. He's absolutely ridiculous because like it'll look like he's body bagging, and then all of a sudden he's like, sick. I know what I'm gonna do now, and I win the set, I win the tournament. I'm Aqua.
Mr.
You know?
Game 5 for a reason.
Yep, for Game 5. But we have an interesting development for the meta for him himself in Japan. So normally his demon has been Sparkle for the longest time. He did finally find that set win last year, but he actually, and of course also his rivalry with Mia, but it was more of a rivalry.
Yeah.
Now he has a demon on home turf, which is something that we haven't seen in Japan in a while. He's been pretty much dominant #1, or at least juggling around with Mia for a bit. He has a negative head-to-head against the top 5 because of this one player, and it's Hurt. Hurt has been getting his number, double limiting him at both Genesis and I believe Smash Awesome at the very beginning of the season. But I did hear on the grapevine he might be developing a Game & Watch specifically just for Hurt. So we'll see how
I mean, I wouldn't
out.
be surprised. It's Aqua. The kid's incredible. So.
Yeah, I mean, we did see him develop that Aegis specifically to try and fight against Spargo. I wouldn't be surprised. What if he pulls out a hero to go fight against her? Just
oh my God!
Like,
If he pulls out a hero, just link up a beast mode, Paul, man. It's
kid's a demon. and one other thing that I do want to call out, and it's not like I'm giving him like an excuse or anything like that, but Nicola, he's either like just turned 19 or like about to turn 20 or somewhere around that age range. He was studying for college entrance exams, which are notoriously difficult, and put a lot of effort into securing his future. And so Smash took a little bit of a backseat.
Yeah,
didn't attend
second
nearly as much. Didn't attend nearly as many events in this season, and he's still #2 in the world.
Exactly. But gentlemen, we get a very rare opportunity today. There's only been 3 other players to claim the #1 trophy in Smash Ultimate, and today we get to crown a brand new #1 player in the world.
Let's roll the footage and find out who wears the crown for the first half of 2025. It is, of course, Dora Migi!
Man. So he is one of 2 players this season to not miss a major top 8. Insane levels of consistency, wins his first major tournament overseas, and it was a super stacked one on top of that. And outside of that, sorry, he didn't miss a top 8, but his placements this season, he has 3 first placements, 3 second placements, and 2 fifths to showcase how consistent he is.
Nothing below 5th, nothing below excellence, and unless I'm mistaken, I believe is our youngest ever #1. Not just in Ultimate, but in Smash history.
Ryan, he's younger than Brawl!
That is correct.
He's younger than Brawl! He's younger than Super Smash Brothers Brawl, ladies and gentlemen. He's at 2009, born 2009. We're almost at the 2010 era, all right? It's over for us. It's over for old people.
Hey, I'm old. I'm younger than Melee. I can empathize with somebody who's younger than Brawl coming onto the scene and just absolutely dominating. And that is what Dora Migi did this season. Just incredible. Performance after performance after performance. Like we talk about, he had like a disappointing Kaguribi, and that's just because he didn't win.
Yeah, but that's the thing too. Is like, it really speaks to the caliber of player. Oh, and he uses Incineroar's his favorite Pokemon. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. He's already the GOAT. I love him.
And he wants to fight Sonics.
And he wants to fight Sonics. But here's the thing, right? I am pretty vocal about my disdain for Min Min. I think the character is an abomination. I think it's a sin. And I didn't think anybody could make me like this character. Watching how Dora Migi pilots Min Min in general is so huge to me. He's so incredible. He's so good. He does things other Min Mins don't do, like go off stage to secure kills a lot earlier than it feels like he has any right to. But he is a phenomenal player. I love watching his Min Min, and I never thought I'd say that about anybody.
Yeah, dude fights like you owe him money.
Yeah.
But speaking of also his consistency, his worst loss this season was to Rarix, who was ranked like 33rd, 32nd or something.
Yeah.
I can't even remember after doing these rankings. I should know them, but there's so many
your
players.
rankings.
I know.
It's a lot of data.
It's a lot of data.
That's why he writes them down, right? But no, like Doramigi, we've been talking about paragons of consistency. We started with Shuton. We talked about it with Akola. We talked about it with Sonics, where they're just not taking losses to the players who are worse than them. Doramigi, I think, is just the final form of this. Like, his worst loss at all was in top 40, and almost nobody else even beat him other than like people in the top 5, top 10.
He does have one bracket demon, and that is Mia. Mia has been a
Okay, the number 4 player.
Yeah, I know. But Mia has been a thorn on his side, and I kind of want to take this time to also talk a little bit on the macro level of the rest of the year and things we might expect. Just because Doramigi is currently number 1 now doesn't mean that he is number 1 by the end of the year, because honestly, as I said earlier, it's super competitive. Spargo's playing hot, Mia's playing hot, Hurt can make the comeback, Akala's not far behind him, Zamba's a dark horse in this race, his consistency is insane. And, I mean, Tweak's retired. I'm sorry.
Well, we hopefully, maybe, is there like any world where he's in top 10 for a full year?
Maybe. You know what? He could be. I don't know what the protocols on retired players yet. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know, because he can't take any more losses.
Yeah,
And,
can't take more.
yeah, but you don't get any more wins, so. All right, well, what a top 10, huh? A bit of a surprise there with Doramigi, but honestly, well-deserved.
And honestly, I think for anybody who was paying attention, watching the numbers, I don't think Doramigi being number 1 comes as that much of a surprise either.
I think it's just a shock because we've had like Akola, Spargo for like, however long, and then obviously it was like Leo before that, so I mean.
Yeah, and prior to this, Doramigi's never cracked the top 10 before.
Oh, he was 11th or 12th?
He was 12th, then 11th.
Yeah, okay.
So he was both, and then finally, when he decides to crack in, it's for 1.
I mean, and to do it at the age that he's at, like we've seen a lot of young prodigies in Smash Ultimate, and so the sheer number of prodigious players that we've had, being able to stand head and shoulders above them, youngest major winner in Ultimate, youngest number 1, that is kind of speaks for itself.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I would be remiss to take this also opportunity to give some thanks. First of all, thanks to all the blurb writers who contributed their writing this season, and thank you to Self-Destruct Gambit for doing all the videos, these beautiful videos you get to see every time. It's all him. Thank you to the rest of the LumiRank team. I know this stuff can always be stressful, and thankfully we decided to give ourselves more time this time, and we didn't burn ourselves out, which is great.
That Gommel cutoff saved y'all.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you, Trade War, for being a punching bag.
Shout out Trade War. Shout out Trade War.
Trade
I
War.
love Trade War.
Everything that is wrong with this ranking is Trade War's fault. You can message him on Twitter.
Don't do that.
and
Please don't do that.
It's not Trade War's fault. It's not Trade War's fault.
But if it is someone's fault, it's Trade Wars.
And I do think we are working on getting Doramigi back here alongside Naru. And, oh, there they come.
All right, well,
All right.
I'll hop out here.
Yeah, so first and foremost, thank you both to Skiff and Easy Freezy for joining me here on the reveal of the top 10. We'll be seeing you guys later throughout the weekend, and hopefully you guys enjoy your Supernova, because it's time to talk to the new number 1.
All right.
It's younger than Brawl, man.
Had to get that in one more time, didn't you? As they both give their congratulations to Doramigi, he's going to come and join us on the desk. Omedetou gozaimasu. Congratulations. Dozo. Oh, it's backwards. Well, congratulations on becoming the new number 1 player. Welcome to the desk. I'd like to start this off because I think this might be one of your first English interviews. Could you just ask him to introduce himself to the people at home?
おめでとうございますってことで、英語でのインタビュー、なんかあんまり機会になったのでこれ初めてだと思うんですけど、だからちょっと自己紹介みたいな。
日本語で大丈夫。
日本語で大丈夫。
エリア310所属のドラミギです。ぐらい？ドラミギです。
I'm Doramigi from Area 310.
Well, I'm going to start this off by asking the obvious question. How does it feel to be the youngest number 1 player in Smash history?
スマブラの歴史の中で最年少で1位になったことどう感じますか？
もうやばいです。もう 言葉に表しきれないぐらい嬉しいです。
It's crazy. I just cannot express how happy I am.
I mean, I can only imagine at your age and at your skill level. I do have a kind of an off-kilter question. You pretty much only play Min Min. Where does the love for this character come from? Why did you pick Min Min? Why is this your character?
メンメン短期だと思うんですけど、どうしてそのメンメンがそんなになんだろう好きなのかとか、なんか使い始めた理由とかありますか？
好きな YouTuber の方がいて、でその方に憧れてメンメン使い始めて、ここまで強くなりました。
There's my favorite YouTuber who uses Min-Min, and that's how I got here.
And who is that YouTuber?
誰ですか？
無名って人です。
Their name is Mume.
Okay, well, I think we all have Mume to thank for you being here, right? I have another question about kind of your coming up in Smash, and that is, do you look up to the older generation of Japanese top players, you know, like Shuton, Abadango, Zachary, all of them? Are you inspired by them?
なんかシュートンさんやアバダンゴさんやザクレイさんのようなその子さんと呼ばれるスマブラプレイヤーの方たちになんか影響を受けたりとか、なんかその尊敬してたりとかありますか？
スマホの時とか最初の初期の時はそのシュートンさんとかザクレイさんのかかり身の試合とか見て、いつかこの舞台に立てたらいいなと思ってて、でそれでここまで来て本当に嬉しいです。
Yeah, in the early Smash 4, I watched Shuton and Zachary competing, and I dreamed to be on the same stage as them. And then I'm so happy that I've reached this point today.
Oh, hang on, you were like 11 when you were.
11歳とかでしたよね。
そうないですね。
Yeah, that sounds right.
Well, I mean, dream big, and here you are. Is there anything you're looking forward to this weekend here at Supernova? Now that you've been crowned #1, are you looking to defend that title, or are you just looking to take it easy?
この1位になって今週末の今週の今のスーパーノバでなんか楽しみにしてることとかワクワクしてるとか、そのなんだろう、まあその1位の座を守りたいとか、そういうどういう気持ちがありますか、このスーパーノバに向けて？
まあ1位、ルミランクあったんで、今回はちゃんと1位。1位として1位目指して頑張りたいです。
Yeah, being ranked as first in LumiRank, I want to be first in this tournament too.
Well, there is a little bit of a curse on people getting ranked first and then their first tournament right after that. Are you a little bit worried about that at all, or not even in your mind?
なんかそのルミランク1位になった人たちはそのすぐ後の大会で1位になれないとかっていうなんか呪いみたいなのがあると思うんですけど、ちょっと心配な面とか不安な面とかありますか？
もう出し切るだけです。
I'll just do my best.
That's certainly pretty good. Is there anybody in your bracket path who you're looking forward to facing?
トナメでなんか戦うのが楽しみな選手っていますか？
今ソニックさんとやってみたかったんですけど、やったことないからやってみたかったんですけど DQ しちゃったから、特に今やりたい人はいないですね。
I was looking forward to playing Sonic, but he DQ'd this tournament, so for now, not really. I don't have.
Well, sorry, Sonics, you got to pull up to the next one so you can get your shot at Doramigi. I also want to ask, especially with you still being in school, do your classmates know that you're the best player in the world at Smash Bros?
今ねまだ学生だと思うんですけど、クラスの同級生の人とか、世界で一番強いってスマブラが世界で一番強いって知ってますか、ドラミギさんが？
いやー、多分知らないと思うんですけど、でも学校ではドラミギって言われてます。
I don't think they know, but my classmates call me Doramigi.
Well, that's, I mean, certainly one way to represent. You're going to wear the jersey at school when you
ユニフォーム学校で着ますか？
それはちょっと落ち着いてほしいなと。落ち着いてほしいなと。
落ち着いてほしい。
まあさすがに着ない。
No, I'm not gonna wear it.
I'm not going to keep you any longer. I think he probably wants to go continue to practice. I saw him in the VIP room practicing a little bit earlier with Light and probably wants to get back to that. So thank you so much for joining me here. ありがとうございました。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
And thank you guys so much for tuning in to the LumiRank Top 10 reveal. That's going to do it for today at Supernova, but we will, of course, be back tomorrow with the kickoff of all of the Smash action. So make sure you hit that follow button on this channel. Keep it locked because we have so much more Smash Bros. This weekend. See you guys.